What's happening, Party Animal Nation? It is I, hashtag RDM Russell Devin McLain. Thank you for hitting the download button. I'm going to go ahead and warn you now. You're going to hear me say this on this show for the next couple of months. We're taking a survey of our listeners, and we'd like for you to participate. It will help us learn more about you, no matter how long you've been a listener or how frequently you listen to the show. So please take a few minutes and visit our website, www.rrnonline.com, and you'll find the listener survey link right on the home page, and you can complete the survey anonymously. Thank you so much, and it's showtime. My guest today on the Radio Random Network, she's calling me all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. She's an up-and-coming singer, songwriter, recording artist. We're going to talk about her brand new single, or Pack That Bag. I'm talking to none other than Miss Carissa Leigh. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you doing today?
Doing great. So let's go on to talk about the single. You know, you're a songwriter. It's something you wrote?
Yes, this is a song I wrote with a friend of mine, JT Hodges. And we were just sitting down and talking about, you know, my life and experiences I was going through. And we decided that we would write a kind of breakup song, but with a positive twist where you're leaving a relationship that's not the best and the whole world is ahead of you. You know, you have everything, every opportunity that you could possibly imagine in front of you. And instead of being sad about the relationship ending, you're packing the bag and you're moving on to the better things.
There you go. There you go. That sounds good. We're going to play it here shortly in a few minutes. But with all that said, Carissa, let's talk a little bit about how you came up in music. Now, you're inspired in many different types of music. You grew up, I think, listening to Dolly Parton, and you got kind of the Southern rock thing going on as well. But was music something that was a part of your household as you was growing up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, I love listening to music, and I also took piano lessons and singing lessons in more of the classical genre, and I never really fell in love with classical music, but having that background has given me the skill that I need to be, you know, a country artist, to have all that knowledge of what goes into music. Right,
right. Now, before we hit the play button, we were talking about, you know, you being a songwriter and everything. Now, when did all that come together? How did all this kind of morph into you being a professional recording artist?
Oh, it was actually a pretty crazy story. I was taking classes towards my master's at NYU, and I just wanted to take a fun class. So I took a songwriting class, and at the end of the semester, the professor was like, you know, I really have some people you need to meet. They're in LA and Nashville, and I'm going to get you down there. And so I came and I wrote with these people who were amazing, you know, top 10 hits, #1 singles, you know, everything that you can imagine. And I just caught the bug, and I just thought to myself that I really needed to move here.
That's awesome. Now, who are some of the people that you were working with at the time?
I've been writing with some really great people, like Clay Mills and Bryan White, and they just have huge, you know, success with Darius Rucker and that kind of thing. And it was just a lot of fun to be able to sit there and learn from people who are actually doing it as opposed to the classroom setting.
Yes, indeed. So from the classroom to the writing room to the writing table, pretty much, and it's something that just happened on a whim. That's pretty awesome. That is a pretty crazy story.
Yeah, I really lucked out. That's for sure.
Well, when you were growing up, was singing and music, was that something that you wanted to do?
You know, I always wanted to do it, and I was one of those people that I heard no so many times that I just thought, I'll just do something else. And then now that I've just reignited my passion again, the more times I hear no, I know I'm getting closer to the yes.
There you go.
It just took the maturity of learning to handle rejection to know that this is my real passion, and I can deal with whatever comes because that's what I want to do.
Yes, indeed. Now, you was talking about working with the likes of the different singer-songwriters, and one of them, Bryan White, who's had many hits. Was it kind of intimidating sitting across the table from Bryan White, or what?
Well, you know, sitting across from anyone more experienced than me is intimidating. However, I kind of like to think of it as like a little mini lesson, you know, like it's like I get to see these people who have had all this success and I can learn from it. Instead of being intimidated, I just say, okay, teach me your ways. You know, you're obviously doing something right.
Right. So, did he share any advice or anything that maybe you I guess, use today?
I got a lot of good advice. I mean, the main thing I think is being open, because there's nothing that will shut a writing session down faster than saying no. You know, and so if someone comes up with an idea and you don't necessarily think it's an idea that's going to work for you or the song or the story or whatever it is, instead of saying no, you kind of say, yeah, and what about this too? Like, let's kind of morph that idea into something that maybe flows a little better or something like that. Like, just keep the progression going.
Yes, indeed. Now, we're going to jump around a little bit because that's what I do here. I mean, it's scattered, but it's all good because at the end it all makes sense, I guess. But you have a YouTube page. And
I do.
Give us a little insight. I mean, we were talking about you growing up, you know, your family, you had one side was diehard country fans.
Yes.
The other side was diehard rock and rollers.
Yes.
And you're stuck in the middle.
Exactly. I am in the middle. And, you know, I feel like there's a lot of things that go together with that, you know, like the countryside is the storytelling and all of that. And then the other side is like, you know, the groove and the feel and the vibe. And when you put those things together, I like to think that something pretty magical happens. Yes,
indeed. Now, back to the single "Pack That Bag." I mean, you were talking before we hit the go button. You're going to be releasing an EP, but you're going to do it in a different way. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I released an EP the traditional way last year, and it did really well. I had a song on the radio. You know, I had some moderate success with that, and it was a cool experience. But I just thought to myself, okay, how do I listen to music? I buy one song at a time, and then if I feel like I like the artist, I'll finish buying the album, you know, on iTunes or whatever that you're buying your music on. And so I thought to myself, for this EP, that I'd like to release music the way that I consume it. So one song at a time, and then, you know, you'll have the full EP once they're all out. And so instead of releasing, you know, 6 songs all at once, we get to kind of spread it out a little bit, give people something to listen to, and get some feedback too. You know, that's one of the things that's so great about social media is fans can say, I wasn't really into that, or, oh, I really love that, or, oh, I wish I'd hear a song about this. And so it allows me to adapt, you know, oh, okay, people really want to hear a love song. Like, I'm going to go and write a love song and record a love song and put that out. You know, it allows me to give fans what they want too. Right.
Well, you're also, like I was talking to, you know, stuck in the middle, but you've done something pretty cool as well with the YouTube page. You doing it's a Covers Gone Country series.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that. We just thought it would be fun to take some songs that were definitely not country and try and make them country, you know, by either changing the groove of the song or the tempo and adding, you know, some traditionally country instruments like a banjo onto the song and make it sound more country.
Yes, indeed. Now, you've also, some of your music has been featured on in Billboard, correct?
Yes, that's correct. They did an article on Billboard last year. It was, I mean, a huge personal accomplishment. That's like one of my goals was to be able to have something like that done. So, you know, just checking things off the bucket list just a little at a time.
Yes, indeed. Well, let's rewind just a little bit back. You were going to college. You took songwriting as a class, just all on a whim, just something, you know, interesting that you wanted to do, and it turned into being featured in Billboard. You got, you know, you're working with some of the heavy hitters in country music as far as songwriting goes.
Yeah.
Now, what was you going to college for? What was you going to do?
Well, I have my bachelor's in broadcasting and anthropology, and those two things don't really go together. It was two things that I was really passionate about. And, you know, my broadcasting emphasis was sports. I really love sports, and I love watching them, talking about them, and, you know, everything about them. So that's what I went to college for.
Now, is there any particular sport?
Well, I love hockey. I have to say, hockey is one of my favorite sports, but I also love baseball.
Oh,
and now that I'm in the South, I know I have to love football too.
You got to love football now. Yes, indeed. Now, the release, Pack That Bag, it was produced by Mr. Tyler Kane.
Yes.
How is it working with the likes of Mr. Tyler Kane?
Well, first of all, he is just one of the greatest people that I know. He is so sweet, and he really understands when you give him what you want. He puts his little twist on it and delivers it. So I say, okay, I really want something to sound organic. And he's like, okay, these are the instruments that we're going to do on this track. And then, we go in there with the Nashville guys who are every single musician in Nashville. It's like they're the best musician I've ever heard. Like I haven't heard a bad one yet. I think in this town, you either have to be good or you're going to have to move. So,
yes,
Tyler was just so great about getting the best out of me, getting the best out of the musicians, and really getting everything exactly where it needed to be in the track, volume-wise and timing and everything. He was very meticulous.
Yes, indeed. Well, you also own that. You worked with Megan Lindsay from the Voice.
Tyler has worked with her, yeah, and she's just the sweetest girl too. So I mean, just good people here in Nashville, and I have good people around me. I love it.
Yes, indeed. Now, with all of that said, Megan Lindsay had she's went on The Voice, and there's been a few, Kelly Pickler, Carrie Underwood, who is probably the biggest one of all as far as American Idol goes. But those talent shows, those reality talent shows, is that something that you ever seen yourself doing?
People ask me that all the time. Why don't you go on The Voice, or why don't you go on American Idol? And for me, I think that it is a huge rocket to success for some people. And then for other people, like myself, I just want to take the time and put the time in and go step by step by step and see where that gets me. And I think that I'll be better prepared that way. I think some people can handle getting everything thrown at them all at once, and I give my hat to them. But for me personally, I really wanted to build it and see how to get from A to B the most organic way.
Yes, indeed. Now, off the music a little bit, I mean, you're in Nashville. What's the nightlife like? Do you get to go hang out at Bluebird or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I go out in Nashville quite a bit. That's the greatest way to meet people who are also doing what I do, and the Bluebird's great. I really love the listening room, and, I love to go and see my friends play wherever they're playing. There's so many venues here that are amazing, like Third and Lindsley, and, there's just so many places that you can hear really good live music almost any day of the week.
Yes, indeed. So are there any tours or anything in the works for the album?
Right now, we're getting some things lined up for the fall, and I'm really excited about it. But, that will all be on my website once it's confirmed, and once we have the exact routing put together, and that's CarissaLeigh.com.
That's it, CarissaLeigh.com. You're also on Twitter. If you want to get in touch with her on Twitter, at Carissa Leigh. We'll share all that good stuff on the website and in the show notes. But with all of that said, Carissa, what do you do for fun to wind down? I mean...
Well, I really like being outside. I love, going for hikes. I love, in Nashville there's no beach, but I love going to the pool or going to the beach or going to the lake. And I really feel like that's an escape for me. And then, of course, I'm a girl, so I love going shopping and hanging out with my girlfriends. And, I'm a pretty easygoing person. It doesn't really take much to entertain me.
Yes, indeed. Now, Tuesday night you were at the Digital Rodeo Showcase.
Yeah.
With Ty Henderson and a few others. Give us a little bit of what that was about. How did that, or give us a little bit of, I guess, a little behind the scenes thing, or a little insight on it, rather.
Yeah, it was really cool. Ty is phenomenal. He's just so talented, and it was really fun to meet some other people who are up and coming, like myself and like some of the other girls that were on there. We each got to play a few songs and, hang out in the green room backstage. Everyone was so sweet, and just, it's a good experience to start getting some exposure and meeting other people who are in your same shoes, because you can kind of become friends and share stories, and it's a really neat thing to be able to do.
Yes, indeed. Now, what is the, I guess we get a little deep here. How about your dating side of things? How's it going? Any boyfriends or husbands or?
No, I don't. I don't have a husband or a boyfriend currently. So you you can send your applications online.
And CarissaLeigh.com. No, I'm just I was what I was doing. I was going to segue into the the support system there. As far as your family and stuff like that. Do you have what does your family think about all of this?
Oh, I have a really great family. My family's super supportive of me, and I have two younger brothers, and they both have my one brother is a professional horse trainer, and my other brother is a hockey player. And so between the three of us, I think they've just kind of learned that we're just going to get behind you guys because you're going to do what you want.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
so I have an amazing family, and I think I've built an amazing family here in Nashville. My family doesn't live here, but I've, made friends and really become close with them just from the mere fact that all of us moved to Nashville without our families. And so we kind of formed our own little family here.
Yes, indeed. And with that said, how hard was that? I mean, you hear stories all the time about, artists dropping everything in life and taking off and moving to Nashville to pursue a career where there's, God, like you said a while ago, there's so many people there trying to do what you do. So what was the experience of you first coming into Nashville? What was that experience like?
I'm a pretty adventurous person, and so I didn't really think much of it, I just thought, oh, well, if I want to do country music, I kind of need to be in Nashville, so I guess I'll move there. I didn't really put much forethought into it, and I moved down here, and I have a 6-year-old daughter, and so she came with me, and I put her in school, and then it kind of hit me like, oh, I just did that. I just moved across the country, and we live here now. And, at first it was a little bit lonely the first couple months. And then I just started meeting all these people, and people in Nashville are so nice, and they really want to help each other, and they really want to get along, and they really want the best for each other. I think there's a really good mentality of, you can have success and I can have success, and just because you have success doesn't mean that I won't.
Right.
There's it's competitive, but it's not negative.
There you go. Well, I mean, as far as have you had a chance to meet any of any heroes or maybe some of the artists that had some influence on you?
I have a friend of mine plays with Tim McGraw, and
really?
He was like, why don't you come backstage? You can meet Tim one of these days. And I said, okay, that would be great. And Tim McGraw, to me, when I was like 12 years old, was just like the man, I thought he was so hot and just like the greatest thing that ever happened. And so when I got to meet him, I was a little bit starstruck, but I kept it together pretty good. I was like, well, nice to meet you, Tim. I'm Carissa. And I was actually at the grocery store probably about 2 months ago, and I was walking around the corner, and Steven Tyler and I bumped into each other, and it was just like, oh, that's Steven Tyler.
Yeah.
And I had on this vest that my mom had given me, and it's like, a faux fur rabbit vest or something. He goes, cool vest. And I was like, oh, this vest I'm going to keep this the rest of my life.
Frame that sucker. Now, that's wild. You're in the grocery store walking around, and there's Steven Tyler, who had just come out with his country, he's got a country song out now.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
But, you think Steven Tyler, you start thinking Aerosmith, Sweet Emotions, Walk This Way, and there he is in the grocery store buying milk or whatever Steven Tyler buys at the grocery store, and you walk up on him. That's a story for your grandchildren. Exactly. It's pretty,
I think it goes back to the whole thing is like, especially in Nashville, everyone's so down to earth, people get their own groceries, and they write their own songs, and they, go and sit in on the sessions, and they really participate in their lives and their careers. And that's one thing that I really love about country music.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, the outside world, sometimes, on the outside looking in, they paint this big picture of, the glamour and everybody's got butlers and stuff, but it's not really like that at all. They're people too.
Yeah, exactly.
But with all of that said, we were talking a little bit about advice and everything earlier. Can you share some advice with any, up-and-coming singer-songwriters or musicians that would possibly want to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, I always say a couple things, and the first thing is that you should definitely learn to play an instrument. In Nashville, you don't have to be the best because you're going to be able to find people to play for you if you're not the best, but you want to be able to relate to them and be able to talk to them in the music language. So learning an instrument, whether that's piano or guitar, or mandolin, whatever you want to learn, like go and learn an instrument because you are going to need to have that kind of knowledge behind you. And the second thing is don't get discouraged. A lot of people have told me no, and then the more that I keep just pushing forward, the more yeses that I've been getting. And that for a time was the hardest thing for me because, it's hard to hear, I don't think so, or not this time, or maybe next time. And then finally, once you've kind of been at that point where you've heard it enough times, then all of a sudden it's like, yes, we like you. We want this. We like the song, and it's just like, you have to go through all of that garbage in order to get to the good stuff. So, just keep your head down and work hard and keep your, be nice to people. Keep your nose clean. Don't be nasty. Don't say mean things. It will all come back and bite you if you do.
Yes, indeed. That's some good advice. Pay your dues.
Yeah, exactly.
With all of that said, with everything said, I got one more question, and then I'm going to let you go. I know you probably got a busy day, and I want to thank you for giving us a call here. It was an honor and a pleasure to talk with you.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, indeed. Well, you were talking about learning an instrument. And so
yes.
What's your instrument of choice?
Well, I play the piano. I've been playing piano since I was 3 years old. And I recently decided I was going to learn to play guitar. And I'm not very good at it, but I really, really wanted to learn. And so I'm getting a little better every day. My fingers are getting a little stronger, so that's good.
Yes, indeed. Well, I mean, I'm a guitar player myself. It takes time. But I've always heard that coming from playing piano to playing, you can almost play any other instrument. Is that true?
I think that, the theory behind the piano really sets you up to understand other instruments. Now, being a master of them and being able to play them well, I think that's a different story. But understanding that, these are the three notes that make a chord, that definitely helps coming from piano.
Yes, indeed. Well, Carissa, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Again, it was an honor and a pleasure to talk with you. For more information on Carissa and her music, you can go to www.carissaleigh.com. You can also find her on social media. That's at facebook.com/Carissa Leigh03. And Leigh, by the way, spelled Leigh for all of them out there.
That is right.
And you're also Carissa Leigh on Twitter.
I am, and thank you so much for having me. It was great talking with you.
Yes, indeed. Don't forget to pick up Back That Bag, available now on iTunes, Amazon, and Ghost Tunes, and other popular streaming services. We'll set something up a couple of months from now, see where you're at.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Thank you so much.
All right, that was Miss Carissa Leigh, up-and-coming Nashville singer-songwriter. She's doing great things. And, again, go check her out at www.carissaleigh.com. Got a brand-new single out called Pack That Bag. And it was fun talking to her. And with all that said, I want to send a shout-out to C2 Media Relations for hooking us up with Miss Carissa for an interview. And we got more to come. With all that said, I will be back next Wednesday when my guest is going to be a band called Alpine Camp, the Alpine Camp. And we're going to be talking to them about their music and what they got going on. And then next Friday, I'm going to be joined by country music superstar Daryl Singletary. That's right here on the Radio Random Network. Next Friday will be Mr. Daryl Singletary. So mark your calendars. It's going to be Friday, July 17th. He's going to be on here with me talking about his brand new album and how he's going to be keeping it country and bringing country back and all that good stuff. For more information about the Radio Random Network, all you have to do is visit www.rrnonline.com, and you can find out how to rate and review the show. That's very important. It helps with the algorithms. You can learn how to support the show and keep it free for all of our listeners by clicking on the Show Some Love tab. And if you'd like to contact us here at the Radio Random Network, all that information is on there. Be sure to visit our sponsors and affiliates. Every time you do and you shop with them, they kick a little bit they kick a little bit of money back to us at no charge to you to help pay the bills here at the Radio Random Studios. I'm hashtag RDM Russell Devin McLain. We'll be back next Wednesday with the Alpine Camp. Until then, God bless.